to the north of Iran. The father had to head back to the capital because of an important business meeting. The mother wanted to come back safely, so she took particular care in choosing a cautious driver. But sadly, she didn't know there would be a car speeding around the corner. There was a collision. They had an accident. The family's cars spun 8 times. The mother and the younger daughter tumbled in the car like clothes on a spin cycle in the washing machine, and the older daughter fell out of the car and got run over by another car. My 12-year-old sister Firuza did not survive. I got stitches on my head and elbow, and my mother's back and knee injured. الهی رزم به رضایک، تسلیما به امرک و صبرا علی بلایک. The sentences my uncle-in-law heard my mother saying while visiting Mecca, and as she stood over Firuza's dead body. My parents experienced grief like all other human beings. They felt isolated. They started to bargain with God. They fell into depression. They were angry at each other. And they finally accepted the loss of their child. These were the 5 stages of grief which were first proposed by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in her 1969 book on death and dying. People who are grieving do not necessarily go through the same stages or experience all of them. And that's why my mother experienced grief very calm, and she didn't cry. Crying isn't bad, it's actually a part of the healing process. But my aunt did the exact opposite. She grieved by airing her emotions outwardly. And she went on top of Tocho Mountain, behind Firuza's school, bargained, cried, and shouted at God. At first, my parents wanted to be alone. They didn't want to see anyone. They left their house and stayed at my grandmother's for a more peaceful surrounding. What brought them out of this stage was my grandmother's words. The longer you don't socialize, the harder it will be for you to get back into society. 3 weeks after the accident, we traveled to Italy for my dad's job. The only time my mother bargained was in the middle of a business meeting with my father's colleagues. Did only my 60-kilogram daughter take space in the world? My mother was getting depressed in the house, so she bought African violets, put them in her room, and watered them every day that she could go into the room and feel okay. And we still have them by my sister's piano to this day. My piano teacher called my mother and asked her to play piano for her heart. And by chance, she gave her the piano, the happy birthday piece on Firuza's birthday. My mother's friend made her join a gym because working out makes you happy. And to this day, she goes to the gym 3 times a week. Losing someone also causes anger. And my parents were constantly fighting over small things. If you don't pay attention to these details, it might cause a divorce or affect your child. And that's why my father reacted quickly and went to therapy with my mother. They also thought it would be a good decision if I went to therapy as well. So, this is 3 weeks ago where I saw my therapist by chance. Accepting the loss of a loved one is the hardest stage. That's why, after 12 years, we still can't understand death and our eyes water up. Death is the only thing in the world without a reason. We used our indemnity to build a school in Firuza's name. She loved school. She got into Tizushan, a school for high-achieving girls. Sharmeen Rubenzader, a person, a mother, who grieved by building a heartbreak center in the name of his son. She lost her son in an accident, her 19-year-old son. The charity is a place where people could go and share their experiences with people who mainly have the same problems. I hated my sister for a long time. Because of her, people call me Firuza instead of Hedieh. Because of her, I get anxiety when I'm in a car. You deserve losing your sister was the cruel sentence I heard from my first grade classmate when I just had started to open up. I hated when people use her to manipulate my decision making. A few weeks ago, my aunt was trying to stop me from going to art school. Over the phone, she said, "What would Firuza say if she was here?" And immediately I thought she would make me go study mathematics or science. But after weeks and days of feeling messed up, I figured out why she's my motivation today. Because if she was here, she would tell me, life's short, so follow your dream. Thank you.